welcome to class today. We are using the resistance band. My resistance band, and we're all going to be on the floor, which is why I'm already down on the floor. But I just want to show you the length of my band is actually roughly the length of a door frame. Just there, it's just slightly short of the door frame, just to give you an idea. It's a medium strength resistance band. And we're going to start with a focus on rib cage, the rib cage funneling down. We're actually going to lie on our backs, but I just want to show you how to set up the band in the first place. So it's going to be around your back, nice and flat, so you sort of hold the ends like a dirty rag. And then you're going to cross it over, so it's around your bra strap, bro line, as the Americans sometimes call it. And then we're crossing underneath the bust or the chest, and we're just, it's quite nice and relaxed. And the movement that we're going to do is with the elbows tucked in and opening out the hands. And you can see as I'm opening out my hands, it's tightening up. And then we're also going to think about our breathing. So I'm just going to, so if you want to start from a seated position or just come down to the floor, if you get the band nice and flat behind you, tuck your arms into your sides and then lie down on the floor. Coming down into our base position, I'm going to try and work sideways mostly for today because I think that's going to be the best angle. Sometimes I might turn around to face the away from the camera so that you can see even more easily. So I've got the band nice and flat. I'm roughly in the middle of the band as well. And then I'm crossing over at my chest. And then I've just got my elbows in the floor and I'm allowing the band to just drape over my thumbs, essentially. Just notice, hopefully you can feel the band touching your clothing and you can feel that contact. Notice how the shape of your spine is, so we want to be in a good neutral. Feet and knees hip width apart. Allow the spine to settle and relax into the mat. And then all I want you to do initially is take a big deep breath in. Allow your ribs to expand sideways, absolutely, into the armpits, but also the ribs will flare a little bit at the front. But also think about pushing those ribs at the back into the floor a little bit. So ideally we're expanding the ribs all the way round in a sort of oval shape. I've done way too much talking there. And then when you breathe out, notice the ribs drawing down to connect to those hips at the front of the body. And notice whether the band, you might have filled it out a little bit and then it just will go a little bit slack when you're breathing out. And I've just realised that I've secured my thumbs very slightly, very gently actually, to my forefinger, just to keep the band in place. Elbows are on the floor, hands are above my elbows. Breathing in, expanding that rib cage, breathing out, funneling the ribs down to connect to the hips at the front of the body. Noticing whether anything else changes. A couple more. And breathing out. Sometimes it helps to make an S sound, a hissing sound as you take your breath out. And actually when I do that, I'm more conscious about my lifting my pelvic floor at the same time as that out breath, which helps to connect everything internally. I'm just moving my hands in a little bit on the band, so my hands are directly above my elbows. Elbows are tucked into my sides, so I've really made a right angle with my arms. And then I'm taking that breath in, feeling the band is quite slack at the front of my ribs, and then as I breathe out, feeling the rib cage drawing down and funneling down, I'm going to pull on the band and open my hands out sideways. Elbows stay exactly where they are, and I can really feel the band tightening up, helping me to be very aware of that funneling movement. Breath in, Bring the hands back to above your elbows. Breath out. Pull the band, stretch the band, tighten it across your chest. Breath in, breath out. Great. Hopefully you can feel that. And then we're uncrossing the band, reaching our arms up towards the ceiling. Again, band just draped over my thumbs. Some of my people in my classes recently, when I've been working with the bands, have mentioned that it really starts to hurt their hands from all the gripping. So I'm trying to be very conscious of how we're holding the band. There's no need to have excess tension at all. So all I've done is secured my thumb gently towards my forefinger. I can't even reach my forefinger, but just keeping the band in place. And I've just taken the slack out, so I don't want it all dangling on the floor. I just want it no slack, but equally no tension. And I'm going to have my fingertips reaching up towards the ceiling. And I'm just taking an arm reach, as I call this, up towards the ceiling with my fingertips, and then allowing that side to drop back down again, one arm at a time. Hopefully, because I've stayed sideways on to the camera today, you can see that this one arm is reaching up much higher than the other one. The other one is staying exactly where it is, and then it's dropping back down. So as I'm lifting up, I'm lengthening around the back of the shoulder towards my spine, which is the central point. Because I'm doing one side at a time, I'm imagining that I'm reaching from the spine all the way to the fingertips on that one side. The other side is staying nice and still. So an equal amount of those each side, and then let's reach up, and in fact I'm going to twiddle round this time. So we're here, same thing, reaching up, all the way up, trying to touch the ceiling, and then I'm going to continue to try and touch the ceiling, staying at the same height with those fingertips, reaching across so that I'm almost level with my other hand, coming back like you're trying to paint the ceiling, and then allowing that shoulder to drop. Lifting the other side up as far as you can. Try and maintain that height. You'll feel a bit more of a stretch. My head naturally is gravitating, it's just sort of following that hand that's stretching across, really. 4 of these in total, alternating sides. So don't purposefully turn your head, but hopefully the head will just roll a little bit. From the sort of halfway point, I guess, really. I wasn't concentrating very much on that one. So last one, reaching up. I don't need to move my head yet. I don't feel the need to move my head. Now my hand is opposite my face and my spine. So we're just getting that little bit more of a rotation. And then it feels quite nice to let my head roll with it. Come back into the centre. Continue with the arm so it's opposite the shoulder, and then reaching all the way down. Fantastic. We are moving the band. We're going to be sitting up and sitting down a little bit. We're taking the band around the back of our thighs. And we're staying in our base position, and if you can, have your band nice and flat behind your backs of your knees and your thighs, and be in the middle of the band. So I've got an equal amount of band on both sides. You're in your base position, feet are flat, and I'm just putting my thumbs on top of the band. So there, if I hold with my thumbs, I'm just gently curling my fingers around, thumbs on top of the band like you're pushing a button. And then arms are up, straight up to the ceiling. Again, I've taken the slack out of the band. I'm going to keep my arms quite straight, but not locked out at the elbows, just a gentle straightness, if you like. And then we're reaching those arms back. And at the same time, I'm taking a breath out. So let's take a breath in here. Feeling the ribs expand a little bit, but not too much. And then when I take my breath out, I'm absolutely noticing those ribs funneling down towards my hips. I can't go too far back with my band. This will depend on a couple of things. How strong your band is, and also how long the band is. So if you've got a much lighter weight band, or a more lightweight band, not sure about that, and it's much longer, you won't have any, you'll have like slack at the end. So just in that case, start with your hands opposite your shoulders ish, and then take the slack out of the band. Your band might be so lightweight that you can actually take your arms to the floor, but that isn't really the point. The point is to funnel the ribs towards the hips at the front, it's ribcage closure, and also to slide those shoulder blades down in the back, noticing that nothing else is changing. Hopefully a sort of light grip on the band, just with the thumbs securing the band, should be enough to make this work. Adding on to the breathing, which will mean that everything's working together. Brilliant. We're going to add on to this. This is a little bit harder still. I'm moving my hands down the band a bit more, and I'm going to bring both legs up into tabletop. I want my hands opposite my shoulders, so making a 90 degree at the shoulder. My legs are in tabletop. I'm going to keep my arms nice and still. Thumbs are pointing backwards. Keeping my arms nice and still. I'm lowering one leg to the floor and then lifting back up. Noticing that the shape of my leg doesn't change. If you just drop your toe to the floor and let your knee bend as much as it wants to, there's a slight change in the tension in the band, but really not much. This is called cheating. We don't want cheating, we want you to work a little bit harder. So maybe actually, let's flex the feet. So from tabletop, extending that leg away. Notice how much more I'm expanding the band now. I'm really working quite hard to keep my arms, my hands exactly where they were. So this feels like a little bit of a bicep stretch. If it's impossible, slacken off the band a little bit. If it's really easy, tighten the band up a little bit more. You have to sort of work with whatever you're working with here, as in don't try and copy me exactly. It will all depend on how strong your band is, how strong your arms are, your ability to keep your upper body nice and stable. We're maintaining our neutral lower back, neutral spine all the way through, and I've had enough of those. Okay, so that was band up to the ceiling. Brilliant. Let's take the band, let's fold the band in half. So there's no tension for this one, other than folding the band in half. And the only tension that you're going to have, I'm just going to turn my hands this way, I don't want it slack like this, I just want you to slightly stretch it out. And again, hands are slightly wider than your shoulder width, but otherwise not much. And let's start with the band just draped across your hips. And we're going to take a peeling bridge. So tuck that pelvis under, push every single vertebrae into the floor, rolling up through the spine all the way up to the top, checking your really good bridge position. So we're planning to open up the fronts of the hips, and I'm just letting my hands and my arms just drape the band across my hips, making me a little bit more aware of that area. I'm thinking about the soles of my feet, they're equally weighted all the way round. I'm getting my hips up as high as I can. I'm trying to keep my shoulders and my neck relaxed, and the rib cage is still drawing down and connected. And then I'm going to straighten out the arms, take hold of the band, take it up above my chest, and then going all the way back to the floor behind me. Now it's quite easy to get my hands on the floor. Again, I'm trying to stretch the band a little bit sideways, but not much. Just essentially taking out the slack. Leave the arms there, leave the band there, reverse, peel down. So the first thing you're going to do is collapse that rib cage, pushing every single vertebrae back into the mat, roll out to your neutral, and then bring the arms up and over. As you bring the arms over, slide the shoulder blades down in your back. Let's add on here an abdominal curl, clearing the shoulder blades, and just press the band a little bit against your thighs, not much. So my focus is actually sliding my hands away from each other slightly. But this is what everything we've been working on so far, relaxing down. So that last part is about shoulder blades down in the back, ribs connecting to the hips, maintaining your neutral, and just that nice long line. So band is across your hips. Let's do 2 more of these. Tuck the pelvis under. Roll through the spine. Getting those hips up maybe a little bit higher this time. Pushing down through the feet, really activating buttocks and sit bones. Stretch the arms out, take the arms up and over. Take a nice breath in here. So relax the arms, but just keep that band stretched out a little bit. Imagine you're hanging onto a branch as you roll down through the spine, breathing out all the way, pushing every single vertebrae into the mat nice and strongly. Roll out to neutral, bring the band up. When it's above your face, tuck your chin in, lengthen your fingertips away towards your feet, clear those shoulder blades, brace in the abdominal wall, rib cage connected, relaxing down. One last one. Here we go. Let's do a breathing as well this time. Big breath in, breath out. Tuck the pelvis under, all the way to the top. Straighten out the arms, go up and over. Touching my thing here, maybe I'm a little bit too far across on this side. Rolling back down, again on your out breath. Breathing in, bring the band up, reach towards your thighs. Holding that there a moment, sliding the shoulder blades down, feeling strongly connected in the waist. So I'm going to shuffle down a little bit. Perfect. So that was our bridge, peeling bridge with the arms up and over. We're going to take one foot in the band. I'm going to put my camera leg, I'm going to make that my first side. So lifting the foot up. In fact, I'm going to go this way a moment. This is actually quite important. You want your foot in the middle of the band, and you just want a little bit of band over your toes. I haven't quite got my foot in the middle of the band either. And then I'm going to cross it over and hold in each hand. So I've sort of wrapped up my foot, made it into a little parcel. So, taking that leg straight up to the ceiling, checking your body position. I've just got my elbows in the floor. I'm just having a little bounce here actually. Should be able to just bounce the elbows into the floor. And yeah, that's you're just using that resistance in the band. Keeping the other leg bent. The main goal here is to keep your hands exactly where they are. Straighten, keeping that leg straight, lower the leg towards the floor and then lift it back up again. Lowering towards the floor, lifting back up again. Think about the shape of your lower back. What I wouldn't want to see is as you're lowering the leg, the lower back is overarching, and I've also taken my hands, I've moved my hands, and then when you come up, the hands pull in and the lower back tucks under and everything is, again, you're cheating. So, absolutely 90 degrees with those arms. If it's too strong, again, if you're finding the grip too much, loosen it off a little bit. but you have to keep the one part where you're holding the band, you have to keep that fixed. Otherwise it's a waste of time. If I'm moving my hands and my arms with the leg as well, we might as well not have the band there. We're wanting to use the elasticity in it. That's the nicest thing. Okay, I'm adding on. My foot's quite nice and relaxed, by the way. In fact, let's just hold it at the top a moment. And again, when I'm at the top, I want a little bit more tension. So I'm just going to work my hands slightly up towards the feet, drop the elbows back down again. This time I'm circling my foot in the band, and every part of the circle, because I've tightened the band up around my foot, every part is adding, I'm getting a little bit of resistance from the band, and it's quite nice. Keeping that leg as straight as possible. So it could be, the leg might be out here at 45 degrees as opposed to 90, depending on your hamstring length. Okay, I'm going to loosen off the band a little bit because we're going back into the leg lowers. This time I'm going to lower the leg, and as I lift it back up, I'm going to slide the other leg along the floor. Lowering the leg, lifting back up, sliding the other leg along the floor. I'm going to shuffle up a little bit. Lowering, yeah, lifting up, lowering. Notice my hands are staying where they are. Opening up the collarbone. Adding on to this, I'm going to add, as I lower the leg and I bend the other knee in, I'm going to straighten out my arms into like a diamond shape. So my foot, my hands and my head are creating that diamond shape. And then as I lift the leg up and slide the other leg away, I'm putting my elbows back into the floor. So 90 degrees, straight arms, diamond. 90 degrees, the leg is up, the other leg is slid along the floor, and the arms are bent, elbows in the floor. And then, so as I'm taking my arms out, I'm not getting caught up on that knee. We're adding on to this, if you can, an abdominal curl. So as you lower the leg, lift the body, upper body up, clear the shoulder blades, hands are at hip height, it's reasonably comfortable, I think. And then lower the head, lift the leg up, slide the other leg away. Let's do 5 of these. 5. And 4. And 3. And 2. And 1. It's a little bit tough on the neck, as always, when we haven't got that support of the hands at the back of the head. Okay, undo the band, uncross the band, keep that foot in the air, swap the legs over. Make sure you're in the middle of the band, crossing over. Just do some seeing enemies with your hands if that's how you need to do that. I'm a little bit conscious of being a bit grippy on my fingers actually. So all of that on the other side. Yeah, okay. So starting with band quite slack, keep the hands still, let the leg lower to the floor, let it come back up again. Focus on keeping the hands still, keeping your pelvis still. Okay, I've just changed my grip on the band a little bit. I noticed my forefinger was feeling a bit sore on this side. So I've changed the band around. So I've got my thumb on, thumbs facing me, sort of elbows out to the side. Just so that I'm securing it this way. I was securing it that way. That makes sense. Now I've changed it over. Just play about with it actually. So be comfortable, but probably changing the grip to face the other way, if you like, will help on this second side. And because all I want you to do really is keep the hands still. yeah, I quite like this revised grip. So I haven't actually got any pressure on my forefinger now. It's just across the palm of my hand. So I'm lifting and lowering. Keeping that leg straight, thinking about the pelvis. I'm going to tighten up, go a little bit closer towards my foot so that I can circle. Oh yes, I've got still got a bit of a thing going on my right heel. And moving this around with that resistance of the band, I'm really noticing it. I'm noticing it in a good way. I can feel it doing some work. And for this one, you need to have the band a little bit tighter, which is why I move my hands up a little bit higher. Okay, back to the regular position. So we're here, lowering the leg towards the floor. This time as you lift the leg up, slide the other leg away and draw the leg back in. So the leg that's in the band is just staying nice and straight. It's not really changing. I've just relaxed my foot. I was holding a bit of tension there initially. I was going to get you to point and flex the foot, but I would actually rather you just relax the foot, relax the ankle, and focused on letting the band do the work essentially. Watch the shoulders. Good, so we're adding on that diamond shape as you lower the leg. Sorry, not with the, so that feels quite weird. Yeah. That just feels weird because I'm not used to doing it in this position. So same thing, arms are going out, hands are going out to the sides, straightening them out, coming back to the elbows on the floor. When you lift the leg up, bend the other leg in. So if you're not liking this new grip, and I'm not liking it for this part, I'm going to go back to my original grip, which is there. Yeah, that feels nice. And now, play about with it a little bit. Adding on your abdominal curl. Let's do 5 more, just in case you missed that first one. So we're sliding those shoulders down in the back. We're connecting the rib cage every time. We've got the band doing its fabulous work with that resistance. 2 more, I think. Last one. And relax. Well done. Okay, we're putting the band over our shins. Nice and flat. And for this first movement, it's the lower body toner. I don't want you to do anything other than just have the band in the right position, because I don't want you to be gripping on anymore. And in fact, maybe do some C and then a Ms again. So you're just gonna basically have your hands resting on the end of the band, especially if your band is roughly the same length as mine. I just don't want it to fall off. Nice and flat on the shins. Cross it over underneath. Open it out to the side. Arms are in a low V, and I'm just resting my hands on the end of the band. I'm lightly hanging on to it just in case it falls off, but I'm pretty sure it won't. We're going to take our lower body toner, which is working in imprint. So you tuck that pelvis under. You strongly pull your belly button towards your spine. You strongly push the base of your lower back curve, that deepest part of your lower back curve. Push it into the floor, the mat, for all your worth. Switch on your sit bones, slide them towards each other. Lift your pelvic floor internally for all your worth. Scroll your knees in towards each other. Feel like you're rotating them inwards, but you can't really because you haven't got anywhere to go with that, but feel like you are. So squeeze the knees together. Squeeze your feet together, especially your big toe joint. So maybe heels might come a little bit apart. That's adding to that scrolling in. And then all we're going to do is drop the feet down nice and low. I don't know why I'm hanging onto the band. Don't need to hang onto the band. Just slowly keep all those muscles switched on that I just mentioned. Slowly lift the legs up towards the ceiling. You're not trying to straighten the legs, you're just trying to keep these muscles all activated. Slowly lower the feet back down again. You might feel the band, you might notice the band stretching out a little bit, but essentially it's just there in place for the next exercise, because I don't want any stress on those hands. I'm lifting my feet up again. Squeezing, feet together, knees together, scroll those inside thighs in, pushing the lower back into the floor, lifting the pelvic floor, squeezing the sit bones towards each other. Everything should be maybe quivering a little bit. Let's go up again. This is the third one, last one. Squeeze, 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 and lower. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing, keep squeezing. Well done. If there's a little bit of shake going on. Whew, good. I'm going to turn, no, I'm going to stay here actually. So now just take a light grip on the band. So little fingers on the floor, make a soft fist with the hands. So I've just taken out the slack that's at the back of the band. From our perfect tabletop position, feet and knees are together. We're doing two movements. We're opening the legs out and then bringing them back together. And then we're straightening the legs and lowering the feet. Opening out, bringing them back together, straightening the legs and returning them. Opening out, back together, straightening and returning. Especially the straightening of the legs. This is from square on. So my feet and my knees are opening out together and coming back to the centre. They're straightening. On this one, there's quite a bit of tension going on in the arms. Keep the shoulders pinned back a little bit. Push the backs of your arms into the floor. Opening out. This time I'm working in a neutral lower back if you can. Opening both legs out and straightening. Two more. Band is making quite a strange noise. And last one. Well done. Brilliant. I think we are coming to bring, yes, the band behind your head for our abdominals. So this is sort of equivalent to having the hands interlaced behind the head. So if you have got a little bit too grippy in your hands, it's starting to get uncomfortable by hanging onto the band, then just interlace your hands behind your head for this one. Otherwise, if you have a band that's roughly the same length as mine, we're going to fold it over in half and have it nice and flat. The last time we didn't need to worry whether it was perfectly flat or not, and then fold it over again and then hold it like this as if you're reading a newspaper. So you're there. Keep your hands in this position, so thumbs are up, you're holding it around the side. Take it around the back of your head. It needs to be in the bulky part of the back of your head. Your elbows are forwards, and then we're ready for our abdominal curls. I'm going to roll down to come down. So abdominal curls, pretty much the same as having the hands interlaced behind the head. Let's set everything up as we normally would do. Slide the shoulder blades down in the back, hug those armpits, funnel the ribs at the front, connect them to the hips at the front. Be in a good neutral pelvis. Slightly unweight the feet, or at least think about unweighting the feet, so that lower abdomen is set as well. We're coming straight up for our abdominal curls, and then we're lowering the body back down. Starting to shake a little bit. Trying not to change anything in the torso, trying to keep those elbows forwards. Head is heavy. Head is supported by the band or your hands and arms if you've got your hands interlaced behind the back of the head. Okay, let's challenge this a little bit more. You could just do an alternating knee fold, which is challenging. Just going to do 4 of those to show you. Remember, when you do your knee folds, you don't need to bring that knee in very far. It needs to stop at 90 degrees. Or you could do an alternating knee fold. You could lift the other leg up into tabletop, and you could do a toe tap. Let's do alternating toe taps. This time let's stay up. Flexing those feet maybe for a heel tap. Same as what we did earlier. This is tough work. Good, an equal amount both sides. I'm going to keep my legs up. I'm going to come down with my upper body. We're going to take some oblique twists. In fact, I'm going to put my feet down a moment. Sorry, I'm losing grip of the band on one side. Okay, here we go. So alternating, adding our obliques in. So I'm going to come up into the middle, and then I'm going to twist to the one side. I'm going to come back into the centre, and I'm going to twist to the other side. I'm trying to keep both shoulder blades clear. I'm trying to keep both hips, both sides of my hips equally weighted. It's tough. I've done 3 sets there, and I'm going to have a little relax. That's quite strong. We're going to add on to that, if you can. This is the grand finale of the abdominal exercise. We've got one more abdominal exercise coming up. So save yourself a little bit, and then only do this one if you feel strong enough and you've got the good technique for it. We're coming up and we're bringing the legs up into tabletop. We're going to do 2 toe taps in each position. So we're in the middle, we've cleared the shoulder blades, we're going to toe tap 1, toe tap 2. We're going to twist towards the camera, toe tap 1, toe tap 2, come back to the middle, and 1, and 2, and twist away from the camera, 1, and 2, and back to the centre, and 2. Let's do 3 more sets. Towards the camera, 1, 2, centre, 1, 2, away from the camera, 1, 2, and centre, 1, 2. 2 more sets if you can. Towards the camera, 1, 2, and centre, 1, 2, and twist away, 1, 2. Last set in the middle, 1, 2, and towards the camera, 1, 2, and in the middle, 1, 2, away from the camera, 1, 2, 1 more in the middle for luck, 1, 2, and la 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 la, collapse. Ooh, stretch the legs away. This is what I would like to do. Stretch the legs away, stretch the arms away, stretch everything, and have a little relax. So for me, that's as much about my triceps as anything else. That should have worked the back side of the arms if you're hanging onto the band, not so much if you've got your hands behind your head. Brilliant. We are coming to lie on our side. Set up for this is always a bit of a nightmare, but the good thing is we're not having to grip on at all because we are going to lie on the spare end of the band. So I'm going to lie on my left side. But actually just mirror me, rather than thinking about lefts and rights. First of all, just know which side you're going to lie down on. You're going to put your foot in which will be the top leg when you lie on your side. So I'm going to lie on this side, and so my other leg is the top leg. Put the foot in the middle of the band, make sure there's a bit of band poking past your toes. You don't need to cross it over, but what I do need you to do is take both ends of the band, take it underneath the other leg. So we're in this seated position. Then as you come to lie on your side, Make sure that you've got as much band as you can. Lie your hip and your full weight basically on that band, so you're sideways. And then see if you can straighten that leg that's in the band. Now that's quite tight for me. Well, I've straightened it and my other leg is forwards in a 90-degree angle. I have straightened it and then we're going to lift and lower it. That's probably about right. But notice how much band you've got here. If that's too strong and you can't straighten the leg and you don't think you're going to be able to lift it, shuffle it, give yourself more slack in the band. But it shouldn't be slack, if that makes sense. It should be taut. And I've moved it up a little bit more. So I've got 2 or 3 inches there. But I know that band is nice and secure. No, actually, no, that's not much. I'm going to go a little bit tighter again. Make sure that your hip is really securing the band fully. Great. Lie down on your side, as we always do. Hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, underneath arm lengthened away. Top leg, the foot in the band, nice and flat, parallel with those feet, the underneath leg just out of the way. Not worrying about that side at all. Push down into the floor a little bit, get the ribs away, the waist away from the floor. And then we're lifting, and lowering that leg. Straight away, this is kicking into that outside thigh and hip. This is strong work. Just do what you can. Make sure that you're not losing your waist every time you lift that leg up. The top hip should be staying nice and square. You shouldn't be able to lift that leg too far up. If you are, you might be cheating and rolling back with that top hip. Keep the hips stacked. Okay, that's enough for me. I really have had enough. I'm now going to, this top leg is in line with the rest of my body, as if I'm standing on it, the rest of my spine. I'm going to take that leg back behind my spine, but I'm not going to change the shape of my lower back. And I'm just going to draw some circles there. About 5 in each direction. Make sure they're behind, and they're a large tennis ball size circle, bigger than a tennis ball. 5 in one direction, 5 in the other. Everything will be screaming, and it is. Oh my gosh. Enough. Whew. Okay. I'm going to lie on my back and just take that leg. I'm going to ignore the band a moment. Take that leg across your warrior. Take that leg that you were just working, where that hip is screaming at you. Take the ankle across the other knee. Just have a little roll from side to side. Let the knee roll in and out. If you're anything like me and that really sort of, it wasn't cramped so much, but it was just a very strong set of muscle contractions. If we go straight into the other side, you'll be too distracted by what's going on that hip, which is why I don't want to. And we are going to circle everything around in a moment. I've actually, I want to sort of circle my knee around, just loosen up that hip again. Okay, let's set all of that up on the other side. That feels a bit better now. So in the middle of the band, foot nice and flat, a centimetre or so poking out at the end of my top of my toes. Make sure the band's nice and flat, make sure you're in the middle. Starting in this position with both legs bent, take both ends of the band, take it underneath the other leg, so we're here, and then I'm going to lie on this side now. I'm going to place my hip on the band, making sure that both ends are there and it's nice and flat. Remember how much slack you had, or how much band you had on the other side. Do roughly the same. Make sure you can straighten that leg reasonably comfortably, and then lifting it up. And actually I'm going to give myself a little bit more slack. This side feels a bit tighter, well it is my tighter side, but it also feels a bit more fatigued, just because it's the second side. So underneath leg is out of the way, my body's in a nice straight line. Foot is flexed, legs are parallel, waist is lifted, hips stacked, shoulders stacked, off you go. Lifting and lowering, keeping that foot flexed. So if I lower my foot all the way to the floor, you don't necessarily need to lower it all the way to the floor, but if I do, my toe, big toe joint and my heel pretty much touch the floor at the same time. So what I mean by that is that there's no rotation in the hip. It's pure abduction, lifting out sideways from that central line. And my foot is coming forwards a little bit because that makes it easier. I'm going to make sure it's directly in line with the side of my body and in line with my spine. Starting to feel some strong work. So lowering the leg, keeping it roughly at hip height. I'm now taking it back behind my spine. It won't go very far back, and make sure that you haven't overarched that lower back. Keep the pelvis nice and still. Draw your circles there. Ooh, I've gone into an actual tennis ball size circle this time, I think. 5 or so in one direction before you change. That last set of 5s, only 5, but it should be an absolute killer. And it was. Woo! Relaxing onto your back. Ah. Crossing the ankle over. Or just keeping the foot down, whatever feels right for you. Because this is my tighter side, it's even actually quite uncomfortable just to do this. Take that ankle across. I like to breathe, I like to roll. So I'm sort of massaging it out a little bit. Trying not to get stuck, letting that leg rotate in and out. Circling around. I guess I might as well stay on this side. So let's do our hip circles, leg circles, combined with another stretch there. Where does the time go when you're enjoying yourself with all these classes? So I'm going to do my first leg, so not the leg I've just worked on, because that still will be a little bit crampy. Same thing as before, foot in the middle of the band, little bit poking the band past my toes, cross the band over. Let's just straight away slide that other leg along the floor. Elbows are in the floor. I'm holding the band and I'm keeping my hands nice and still. In fact, sorry everyone, I've crossed the band over, but now I'm going to hold both ends of the bands with both hands. I've got my elbows into the floor, but I've brought my hands onto my chest. And I'm holding it with one hand, my right hand, which is obviously my stronger hand, and then I'm taking my other hand around my right hand. So there is no way that this band is going to move now, or that I've really fixed this end. Oh, and then that feels great. I'm circling around, trying to relax the leg as much as possible, letting the band do all the work. Trying to mobilise around my actual hip. That hip at the hip bone at the front, I'm imagining that that's the centre of the circle. My foot is flexed on the other leg. I'm trying to keep my hips stable. So my hips aren't rocking and rolling around with the leg. It's just the leg is as relaxed as possible. It's almost like I've got my leg in some sort of sling. It feels quite nice. Change direction. So go in, do 4 sets of changing the direction. So go both ways twice. That actually feels lovely. Oh, and Dexter, what a great time to join in. Excellent. Yep, there's the downward dog. Didn't do an upward dog today, babe. Do you want to go out then? Oh, scratchy, scratchy. Go on. See you later, not coming back in. Okay, all on the other leg. Swapping over, the end of the band is just poking past that toe. Cross the band over, but then elbows in the floor, hands together. I'm going to hold both ends of the band with my other hand this time and wrap my right hand around my left hand. Straighten the other leg along the floor, flex that foot, and off you go. My foot is relaxed, keeping everything as relaxed as possible. Using that lovely give in the band, so my leg feels really supported. Changing direction 4 times. Is that right? 4 times? Maybe changing direction 3 times after the first time. Something like that. Anyway, this should feel quite nice. Not working too hard, letting the band do all the work as I say, and keeping those hands clasped onto your chest. Elbows are in the floor. Make sure there's no tension in the shoulders. Lovely. And I was going to do a couple of stretches there, but actually I think that's enough. That's enough to sort of stretch everything out. Fantastic. Let's come up to a seated position, side lying. Yeah, seated row. 3 more things. So our first one is our seated row. In the middle of the band nice and flat, flex your feet. Feet and knees are hip width apart. Sitting as upright as you can. I'm having a little rock from side to side, really being conscious of my sit bones. Sit bones equally weighted in the floor, feet and knees hip width apart. Feet flexed, a sort of go-kart position. Sitting as upright as possible with the shoulders above your hips. I'm taking hold of the band by my knees and I've just taken out the slack. And again, I've released my forefinger. The band is between my forefinger and my next finger, and I'm just putting those fingers there, and yeah, that's enough grip. Pinning the elbows back for our seated row. Really take those elbows as far back as you can, and then slowly release, just to the knees. The goal here is to keep your forearm between your elbow to your hand and your wrist as well, parallel to the floor. So I'm not doing strange things with the wrists, I'm not pinning the elbows back, I'm not bringing the hands to any closer towards my shoulders, I'm just sliding back. This time, pin the elbows back, hold everything there. I just extended my legs away a little bit more. Sitting as upright as you can, hold it there. Notice whether you've got any tension in the neck. Make sure you're not poking the head forwards. Lift up through the crown of the head. Breathing, 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 and release. Good. One more. Pin the elbows back. Hold it there. And then the next set, the last set, we're going to hold it here for a little bit longer. We're going to release the arms, and then we're just going to do one arm at a time. So like a single arm row. So release the arms. So because I've extended my legs away a little bit, this feels a bit more comfortable actually. I'm going to keep one arm where it is, and I'm going to pin the other elbow back. And I actively want you, I've chosen the camera side first of all, I actively want you to allow your shoulders to rotate a little bit. And then swap sides. I did 2 on that one side, but alternate sides. No leaning with this one. So pulling the elbow back, watch that you don't end up with one leg longer than the other, with that opposite foot pushing forwards. If you do, if that does happen, you will be moving in your pelvis as well. I'm going to face this way. Hopefully I will be doing this perfectly. So I'm here. One, I'm going to go the other side first. One elbow back. I'm keeping an eye on my knees, and I'm pulling that elbow and that shoulder back. The other one is just naturally going forwards a little bit. The shoulder girdle is naturally rotating around. I'm conscious of both sit bones being equally weighted. Hopefully you can see that I'm not leaning I'm not leaning away from one side or the other. Keeping the head in place. This is a new move that I discovered earlier when I was planning this class. I really like this. Will probably be in all the classes from now. Perfect. Okay, so seated row, double and single arms. Seated C curve, second to last thing. Again, we're just folding the band over in half just to have a little bit of something to think about. We're going to balance in our seated C curve. It's quite tough on the abdominals and your hip flexors. And we're just, again, drapesing the band over your thumbs and looking to take out the slack. So it's not there, it's a little bit stretched apart. And actually, as soon as I do that, I feel my shoulder blades engage in the back, and that's what I'm after. So I've even got all of my fingers splayed. So from here, taking that C curve, so past your sit bones onto the sacrum, coming into the balance if you can. So I'm on my tippy toes. I'm going to lift the band up a little bit, so it's sort of opposite my shoulders. I've got my feet and my knees together. I'm holding this balance here, and I'm straightening one leg. So just as I straighten it up, the shin touches the band. Keeping my arms still, stretching the band across a little bit, alternating singles. Let's have some doubles. Ba-da-ba-ba. Great preparation for our teaser. Let's keep the feet touching the floor. Let's lift the arms up. They don't go very far. Lifting the arms up, keeping the shoulders down, keeping that belly, lower tummy pulling in, holding that C curve. So this is like our lower body toner that we were doing earlier, even more of a challenge. Can we have legs up, double leg extension, arms up and lower just to touch the shins. This is a little bit like our teaser. Let's have those arms up. Let's keep the legs where they are. Now try and lift your chest. Whoo, lower the legs, reaching up, flex the feet, let the legs open up a little bit, reach all the way forwards, forget about the band. If you can, take hold of the soles of the feet, or, this is actually something quite nice I did earlier, pull. Wrap the band around your soles of your feet, pull your upper body towards your legs. Have a little roll from side to side. Going a bit off-piste here. Sitting nice and upright. I've really got lots of tension in the band now. And again, I'm rounding my back and just allowing that lovely stretch into the band. My legs are almost coming off slightly, rolling forwards. Pull my upper body down. Oh, that actually feels amazing. I was going to do one more exercise, but I'm going to leave it there. Good job. I hope that felt great. Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for joining me.